All right, it is time for the last 5 films I've seen, or 5 of the last films I have seen. Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I'm super excited to be here today and to share with you this video. This is going to be another of my catch-up on talking about some of the films that I've seen recently. I did do a wrap-up for my January watches, but then since then I've seen 15 more movies, and I hadn't talked about them, so since 15 divides evenly into 3 sets of 5, well, it does divide evenly into 5 sets of 3, but we're doing 3 sets of 5. So I'm doing 3 videos about 5 randomly chosen films. I have my spinner wheel at the ready. And yeah, so the first one's already up. I will link it up above and down below. And we're just going to keep going talking about more film. These are spoiler-free, sort of quick response fire kind of situation. Just some general thoughts on each of the films, and let's see what gets picked. Okay, so here we go. What will be first? Or sixth? The Lobster. Okay, so this is actually my most recent watch. I watched it last weekend. Well, this is going up later than today, but you know, it's my most recent watch. So this was really kind of out there. This one I saw with almost no context. And that doesn't have the poster. Most of the posters don't have. Well, here's one that at least has the title. Yeah, let's go with that one. So I wasn't sure what this was going to be. I knew it was going to be a bit odd or art house, which I would say true to that. When I was watching it, I felt like it was like a dark comedy. But then afterwards, when I was reading some reviews on it, it said it was a dystopic, or it was set in a dystopic world. And I'm like, wow, I did not pick up on that. So it's kind of a very... This is definitely strange. It's not pretending to be anything other than that. And it's out there, but not. Like, it's very centered in reality, just a different reality. So in this film, we follow Colin Farrell, who checks into like a hotel that is very formal in terms of your goal when you're there is to find a partner. And if you do not find a partner, like a romantic partner, in X amount of time, X something, will happen to you. And it's very rigid and very, the tone of it is so level. There's very little emotion from anyone, and it's very practical and informative and cold and strange. And I'm like, this is, strange. And so I still am not quite sure exactly what is trying to say. It does feel like social commentary about conformity, like social conformity. There definitely feels like a piece there on that. But some of the stuff was just like I didn't pick up on till later. Like there's something, and then you're like, oh wow, that seems a little strange or a little odd, or why would someone say that or do that, and then later you're like the light bulb goes on, or maybe that's just me. It takes me sometimes a while to pick up on stuff. So I'm still not sure exactly what genre this is, if you can even put it in a genre. I thought the performances were great. Colin Farrell is in the lead of this one, and I actually watch it because Olivia Colman's in it, and I'm watching films that she's in. She plays the hotel management, basically, the hotel manager. So it's very odd, dark, unusual. I imagine it's rated R. There were some things in it that I was like, whoa, that's pretty direct or whatever. Like, so very, unusual without question. Very unusual, very art house, very, jury prize. Oh, I can't tell where. I can't tell. It's definitely a festival type film. So anyway, let me know. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? What kind of genre would you put this as? Did you think I really thought it was a dark comedy? I don't know if that's what It was. I haven't, because it's the most recent one, I haven't looked up a lot about it. But yeah, that was a lobster. I thought it was on my Letterboxd watch list, which I'm trying to pay a little bit more attention to, but it wasn't. So I am surprised at that. But ever since I've heard about it, it has been on my radar to watch, and because, especially because it's a bit odd. And so yeah, I am glad that I watched it, but it really was not. Um, Even expecting it to be odd, it was more odd than I thought it was. Let's see what's next. Hedda Gabler. Oh, Hedda Gabler. Now, Hedda Gabler is a film that I did talk about, so I think in several of my recent videos. So this is the 2004 version. It is an adaptation of the play by Ibsen, and I read the play years ago and then was going to reread it, and I have discovered that I really do like the process of reading a play, watching a performance or adaptation, and then reading it again. And I find it really helps because I like to form my own opinions on things first, and so that's why I like to read it first. But definitely, there's so many different ways you can interpret plays. And with this one in particular, I didn't quite understand the character of Hedda Gabler. It's a huge, like, it's a big, strong female role that's often, referred to, but I didn't quite get what her motivations were, but seeing this adaptation, which is a contemporary adaptation, and especially seeing what the roles of the other characters play, was very interesting. So the plot of this is that it follows Hedda Gabler is a woman who marries someone who is sort of like, in the terms of the Ibsen play, sort of like beneath her station. So she marries, and lots of people are interested in her and are a little surprised that she married the person she married. The person she married is up for a potential teaching position at a local university, but that's not even firmed up. So there's concerns about money and stuff like that, and so it's a lot of social dynamics. Her husband's, I think it's aunt. They did make some changes with the film. It wasn't a husband's aunt, it was like a friend or something like that. Anyway, to be honest, I would just say watch it. It's really short. It's an hour and 15 minutes. It's available on Canopy if you have Canopy. I thought it was great. It is very artsy how it's done. There's lots of shots where how like you could describe them as that I don't know, there's lots of like not steady cam, or like you're somewhere behind in a different room looking through, and so it's arty in that sense. And also a lot of times it's very bright. There's a lot of yellow, there's a lot of sunlight, there's a lot, like, it's just how it's put together is very quote unquote arty, and I loved it. Honestly, I've thought about it so much since I've watched it. So I watched it, I reread the play, I understood the play so much better, I understood people's motivations so much better, and I want to watch this again. And I'm thrilled that it's only an hour and 15 minutes, because that means I'm most likely to watch it again. But I need to find a version of The Master Builder, because that's actually the next Ibsen play I need to read. So anyway, this is wonderful. I haven't heard anyone talk about it. It was a total random pick in terms of finding it on Canopy one day, and so I am thrilled. It was great. It's definitely one of the most interesting films that I've seen in a long time. So I really enjoyed that one. Wow, this is sort of like the odd ones. Let's see what's next. The Lobster and Hedda Gabler. Will it continue? Memory, the origin of Alien. Okay, so we're just going with more sort of adaptations. It's not an adaptation. So Memory is a documentary on the film Alien, directed by Ridley Scott, but it's very much more centered on, I believe, the person who wrote Alien, and the process of getting the script to be, and the different sort of iterations it went through, and they talked to some of the cast only, but there's a couple of people that they talk to a lot, and there were some people they talked to that are more like film critics and stuff like that, and I enjoyed those elements of it. But they didn't have and they used stock footage for some of the other sort of interviews. I'm a little not always someone who likes to watch documentaries on films that I love, because for me, I love the film Alien so much. Like, it's in my top 20, probably. My top 10 is very full. So I'm trying to remember what 7 through 10 is. It might be in my top 10. But it's such a good movie that I don't always want something to influence my experience of it. And whereas when you have like a remake, you still can always go back to the original. I find when you watch a documentary or read a book about something, that can influence how you see it. And I do feel a bit like that happened with watching this. And so I'd more rather watch documentary about films and subjects that I'm less interested in or personally affected by than ones that I really, really like, you know. And I feel like there was some interesting things in here in terms of social commentary and sort of classism that I did not pick up on ever watching the film Alien. So that was interesting. And they did talk a bit. It was interesting to hear about the writer and also Geiger, who's the artist who created the Alien. And then some really, awesome art. I forgot about that. They did show some. Now, you know, Geiger's got a very particular style. So it's not for everyone. It definitely feels influenced on certain things. So there is that. And they do talk about those kinds of elements as well in terms of some of the themes that I did not pick up on that are actually very pretty clear in terms of things that happened in this movie and the horror of them, not just generally horror, but like very specific, like, oh yeah, you want to do that? Okay, yeah, sure. You're not going to pitch the film as that, but that's definitely a theme, or that's definitely something that happens. And I was like, wow, I'm being vague on purpose, because it's quite extreme. And I was like, or extreme isn't, I didn't pick up on that. And so that says something. Anyway, so one of the things I would like to have noted who some of the people that they talked to in this film is some of the women film critics that I definitely would like to hear and see what they were up to, because I really enjoyed hearing their responses to this. But overall, I'm a little on the fence on watching film documentaries anyway, so that was a bit like, I don't know. Okay, so we've only talked about 3. Let's see what the next one is. Let me know how you feel about film documentaries, or documentaries about films. Daguerreotype. Okay, so this one is one that I saw quite a while ago now. Where is it? Oh, that's why, because the title is different. It's hard, daguerreotype is a thing, so it was hard to find a poster for it, but the French title is Le Secret de la Chambre Noire, so I believe that means The Secret of the Black Chamber or Dark Chamber. This one I watched because of the director. It's directed by Kiyoshi Kurosawa, who directed a whole bunch of horror films as well as Tokyo Sonata. Wonderful director. But this is a French movie that's more of a drama with some spooky elements. I wasn't sure. It was on my Letterboxd Watchlist, and I wasn't sure what it was really about. It follows a man who is hired as a photographer's assistant. He doesn't have any experience, and the photographer does old school, I guess, daguerreotypes. I don't know exactly, what makes a daguerreotype, but like more like, a camera obscura, like full 1-to-1 ratio, old school chemicals, long exposure type photography, and the photographer often uses his daughter as the subject for the photographs. And so this guy gets hired as an assistant to this, and it all feels just like, a little, so it's just like something a little that feels a little off, a little, not, is it spooky, is it not spooky, did you see something, did you not see something? And normally I really, really like movies like this, but for this one I felt like it was a bit long. The characters were a little hard to access, and they weren't terribly likable, or in some of the situations were really like, you felt like there was an uncaringness, especially with the photographer, that was unnerving. It's purposeful, but still, it's unnerving. But so this one landed a little flat for me, so I was a little sad about that, because I really do like the director's work, but this one just didn't quite do it for me, and I think mostly because it was a little long, and a lot of it felt more like a drama, but it did definitely have some spooky elements, but it, like, you're always kind of like, so it wasn't, I wasn't quite on edge enough, or I was on edge too long for a film this long. So, oh my goodness, I think we're only going to get through 4 for this round. Oh well, so this is the last 4 films I've seen, and I'll have to go a little faster in the final video where we'll talk about 6. So let me know, have you seen any of these? Daguerreotype, what else did we talk about? Daguerreotype, Memory, The Origin of Alien, The Lobster. I can't remember the 4th one. Well, I already talked about it. Wow, isn't that weird? Okay, well, I need to wrap up the video, so we are going to do that. And those, I hope I talked about 4. My goodness, my short-term memory. It's been a long day. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and part 3 will be coming soon. Thanks so much for watching.